Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this look using the new Natasha Denona Tropic palette. This came in highly requested from my review video of this palette, and I will be doing more tutorials using this palette, so if you have any requests, leave them in the comments down below. But if you guys like these types of videos, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up or down button. That way I know what kind of videos you guys like and want to see. And other than that, make sure you guys subscribe before you guys leave, and let's jump right in, and let's do this! Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm starting with my eyes first, whenever I work with more intense colors like this, I do start with my eyes first. So I'm just priming it with my Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer, and then just blending it out with my Tarte Shaper Sponge. I did mention this sponge in my recent favorites video. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave it a card for it right now, but I love the sponge. The concealer was okay. I didn't really feel like I had that much coverage to it, so I personally have other ones that I prefer over this, but it was a decent concealer. So we're just going to blend that out until everything is looking seamless. Since this palette doesn't really have a shade that is like kind of like my skin tone, I'm just going to use this Collab Makeup Loose Setting Powder and just set that concealer, just because it will prevent anything from creasing, skipping, all that sort of stuff. I just want to have a nice smooth canvas for my eyeshadows. And the brush that I'm using right here is going to be the Morphe M532 brush. Now we're going to dive in the Natasha Denona palette. I'm going to take that same brush, the Morphe M532, and just focus that shade Pastel Melon right in my crease area. This step is basically just going to create a little bit more depth within our crease. I have hooded eyes, so sometimes I take this almost like towards my eyebrow. That is totally fine. That's how I feel like it looks the best on me. But I wanted to keep this looking pretty low, so I just apply it right where you can see the socket of my eye. I just apply that right in there, and then I fluff it around with that Morphe M532 brush. So now we're just switching up our brush. This is going to be with the same shade, Pastel Melon, and this is going to be the Morphe M433 brush. This is one of my favorite go-to brushes. It's very similar to the Morphe R39 brush, but we're just taking that same shade and applying it to the exact same spots, working from inner to outer corner and blending in windshield wiper motions and circular motions. I kind of apply my shadows in a windshield wiper motion and then eventually start to work in little circles. So we're just creating a little bit more depth within this shade, and we're just building more definition. So with this look, I wanted to use a lot of shades from this palette. So now I'm taking the shade Sahara and using the Morphe R39 brush, focusing it similar area, just a little bit lower. So it's going to be a little bit below the crease. And then I'm going to apply the shade, work in those same windshield wiper motions, and then eventually turn to circular motions. This is how I apply all my shadows, so you're going to see pretty much repetition, but I didn't want to apply too much. I just wanted to add a little bit of warmth to this look, so that's all we're doing right here. So this next part is where we really build our definition. You can go in and do this first. I just prefer to start with lighter shades and then gradually go to my darker shades. I just feel like it looks more seamless and blended for me. So we're just taking the shade Cocoa on my Morphe E36 brush. Taking it from inner to outer corner, I work in really small sections because I wasn't sure how intense I wanted this to be, but I did end up taking it from inner to outer corner. So just applying with my E36 brush and continuously going in and blending it out with my Morphe M433 brush, just so there's no harsh lines or anything like that. So if your shadows, after blending, they start to get a little bit messy, this is where the concealer is going to really make everything look so much better. So I'm just taking that same concealer and just cutting out my crease area, basically giving it a nice, sharp, and defined area for all of my color shadows to go, and then you still have that nice blended crease area. So that's all we're doing here, is just cutting out the crease area, creating the shape that we want our shadows to flow in, and I'm using my MAC 242. Highly recommend this brush. I don't know if they sell it anymore, but if you can get your hands on this brush still, this makes cutting the crease so goddamn easy. I love this brush. So the next thing we're going to do is take the shade Lemoncello. This is on my MAC 242 brush. I just flipped over my brush. It has no concealer on this side, but this shade applied really nicely. I'm just going to basically press this into my lid and then kind of blend it out, keeping it on the inner third of my eye. This next shade though, Laguna, I was not fucking ready. Like, it is so pigmented, it's ridiculous. So we're keeping this on the center of the eye. Holy shit, like, it is so pigmented, it's not even funny, but this is so beautiful. I love the shade. This is hands down the best shade in the palette. If they sold a single shadow of this, I would buy it just because of how gorgeous it is. So this is still on my MAC 242 brush. I just made sure that I dusted off the Lemoncello shade first, and then I'm still using that same brush. So I feel like this is a really essential brush for a look like this, so I would definitely recommend getting a brush like the 242 if you're looking to do this look. But again, we're just focusing this on the center of the lid. and just constantly patting it in and then blending it on the outer perimeters of where we apply it. So now we're just going to take the shade Tiger Lily. We're going to focus this on the outer third of the eye. This was my least favorite shade in the palette. I felt like it was really difficult to work with, and it took a lot of work to get it to work. And I still ended up having to go over it with Laguna after because it did look pretty patchy. So just be mindful of that when you are using this shadow. It is a lot different of a formula than the rest of the palette. I feel like the green shade in this palette is going to be very similar to this, but we're just focusing this on the outer third of the eye, just following that map that we made with our concealer and creating a little bit of a wing. If you guys struggle with wing liner, do a liner with eyeshadows. It's so much easier. So that's all we're doing right here, and then I'll show you how I go in and make it look more seamless after. So just to fix that patchiness, I just took a little bit of Laguna and mixed it with Tiger Lily, and it really filled in that area. So I felt like it applied much better like this by mixing that Laguna. It still kept that really nice dark blue shade to it too, so I would definitely recommend doing that. If you are having a harder time to get that to work, maybe try mixing it with Laguna, but I felt like it looked really nice. And then I just wiped my brush off. Like, we use this whole look with the 242, so I just wiped my brush off and just focusing Laguna right on the center of the lid again, and then blending it out on the edges. That way we get that really nice gradient effect. So it's kind of like they blend on the edges so it looks like they flow. So now we're going to take this look to like the next level. I was not expecting this Mint Frost shade to do this, but this is the only true metallic in the palette. I just wanted a little bit more to my eyes. So I took the shade Mint Frost and applied it right to the center of Laguna and Lemoncello, and then I blended it between the two just by dabbing back and forth between the two, and it totally transformed it. This was what gave it that wow factor, so this totally transformed it. I loved how this looked, and it is such a beautiful shade in this palette. Like I said, it's the only true metallic, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's so easy to work with, and we are still using that MAC 242 brush. And just like that, boom, our face is done, and now we're going to go on our lash line. So we're going to take a flat definer brush. This is the Morphe, I'm not sure the number, but it's just a flat definer brush. And we're going to take the shade Cocoa and focus it right on the outer third of that lower lash line. So Cocoa really wasn't doing it for me. I wanted more color on that lower lash line, so I took the shade Sangria. This just gave the perfect effect to really complement what was going on my lids. A lot of the times you wouldn't think that these colors would look right together, but that's like the fun with makeup. So many different colors look so good together, and I just felt like this really made it look even more tropical than just those blues on my lids. So I felt like this complemented really well. I think it looks beautiful. The shade applies so nicely, blends out perfection. Love it. So clearly you guys can see I wanted to use as many shades in this palette as possible today, but I took my Morphe R39 brush with the shade Fake Tan. Like, can you guys do your under eyes without making that face right there? Just curious. Oh, there you go, I caught it now. But this would be the only thing that I would change if I were to do this look again. I wish I blended it out with the shade Sangria because I really was liking the berry tones, but using this shade, I felt like it meshed really well with what I had going on in my crease. So I still think this looks really beautiful. It's just I wish that I kept with Sangria instead. But this still is like my favorite look that I've ever done in my entire life. And that's going to be how I got this look using the new Natasha Denona palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys want more tutorials on this channel, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up or down. That way I know what you guys want to see. And if you guys do recreate this look, make sure you guys tag me on my Instagram. And make sure you guys subscribe to this channel before you guys leave, because we may or may not have a giveaway happening when we hit 2,000 subscribers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know any other videos you guys would like to see. And I hope to see you guys in my next one. Peace!